mean, if I stumbled upon pornography, I didn't look for it, it came to me. How much more so in this digital age is it easier, or the risk even heightened, if for your children on the screen, on the tablet? Or even if you have control of your devices, the device of someone else, their friends, their acquaintances, their peers, their children at school or church or wherever it may be. And so as parents, we would never intentionally expose our children to danger. And if you look at the passage on the screen, Luke 11 to 13, Jesus indicates that as parents, we would never intentionally introduce our children to danger. Our intentions, our best intentions, is to give them what's good for them. But is the lack of our parental control exposing them to danger, and exposing them to a danger that could have a detrimental consequence on them and their future? So let me tell you a story about this guy called Danny. Now, Danny loved his father. He wanted to be just like his father, but Danny was smaller and not so athletic. And the family tradition was that every Christmas, the family would get together. His dad had another brother. The two brothers and their families would come together. And this particular Christmas, Danny was about 9 years old. And after their meal, the custom between the two brothers was that they would have a social drink. They'd have a little drink after their Christmas lunch or the Christmas dinner. And this particular occasion, Danny's uncle asked his father if it was okay for him to give Danny a sip of what they were drinking. And his father said, okay, that's fine. Danny received his first sip of alcohol and became an instant alcoholic. So to make a long story short, Danny was able to feed his addiction without his parents knowing that he had a problem, because his father didn't keep tabs or didn't keep a close eye on his alcohol. So his father had cans of alcohol, bottles of alcohol in the house. They weren't secure, and Danny was able to help himself freely without his father realizing. So all this was going on from the time Danny was 9, right the way throughout his teens. Danny's going to school, primary school, let's imagine primary school. And he's going to school. He's having a drink in the morning before he goes to school because it makes him feel good, makes him have a bit of confidence. And his parents are none the wiser. Fast forward to when he gets to secondary school, he's drinking much more heavily. And his parents are none the wiser because they're not keeping tabs of their inventory, their alcoholic inventory. And it's not until Danny is about 15 years old that he was caught by the headmaster drinking with some other boys in front of his locker. At this point now, he's just brazen. He's just drinking as and when. But it's not until that incident that his parents actually found out that Danny was an alcoholic. And even then, they had a hard time coming to terms with it. But even for Danny himself, even though his parents knew, he still didn't really address, nothing really happened. It wasn't until Danny had an incident where he almost lost his life and almost caused his best friend to lose her life that he actually came to his senses. And that was a few years later. So as parents, the intention as parents is to avoid that kind of situation, right? We want to be aware of the fact that there is danger present, but we also want to prevent the incident from happening rather than having to treat the impact of the incident. So the question that we need to be asking ourselves as parents is this simple question. Am I effectively protecting my child or my children from danger? Because the last thing we want to do as parents in this digital age is by negligence introduce our children to danger. So you can see from, if you reflect back on your upbringing, the playing field is completely different to now. The accessibility, the intuitiveness of these devices that we have today, I don't know if anyone remembers the last time they had to use a manual to operate their new phone. Anytime you buy or upgrade a new phone, they don't come with manuals. If you want to know how to do something and you can't figure it out, then you just Google it. So, and I'm sure everyone's noticed how easy it is for a child, a toddler, before he even speaks, writes, picks up a pen, that he knows how to swipe and operate the tablet or the screen or whatever. So the playing field has completely changed. I mean, another incident from when I was growing up is we had television in our house. We had a black and white television. And from time to time, to minimize the time that we spent on the television, Dad would disconnect the wires from the television, either take out the fuse, disconnect, take off the plug, do something like that, something quite technical. And there was no television. But once we figured out how to rewire a plug, how to check what was missing, when he wasn't about, we rewired the plug, put the fuse back in, plug in the TV, and we're off again watching television. When we knew that he was coming home from work, we disconnect everything, unwire everything, take out the fuse. But we're living in a completely different time where we can't really afford to run those risks, because the things that used to only be accessible at certain hours of the night are now accessible 24 hours a day. And so the landscape is completely different. And so as parents, we need to be steps, leaps and bounds ahead of where our children are. So we can't afford to be tech shy, or we just got to embrace it and learn how to protect our children and not be negligent in this area, because Satan is, as the Bible tells us, Satan is a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And he wants to devour our children. He wants to spoil them. He wants to damage them. And he wants them out of God's kingdom. So without further ado, I will hand over to Brother Charles to do his presentation.
All right. Good evening, everybody. You know, I absolutely enjoyed that presentation, because it brought me way back a little bit. And before I usually start any presentation, I like to explain a little bit about how I like to do things. You see, I am someone who was taught a specific way of, my upbringing was very peculiar. I'm going to give you an example. When I was 16 years old, I'm not smiling about it, but at the time I didn't find it funny. My mom and dad, so it's my 16th birthday. They said, son, you're old enough. We think you're a man, so it's time for you to go to a party. Now, bear in mind, I had always heard about it at school, but my parents actually letting me go to a party at night. And to make matters worse, they gave me an extra incentive. They said, you're going by yourself. And I was thinking, like, what have they had for dinner today? Because I was surprised. My parents are very strict parents. Everything has a meaning to it. So they took me, they said, look, we're going to get you a cab, and it's going to take you to this place. You're going to arrive at 8 o'clock, and that same cab is going to come and get you at 10:30. I remember the exact time, 10:30. And I was like, I'm going to a party by myself. I've always felt like an adult, so put my best clothes on. I was thinking, I'm old enough, I've seen other children being allowed to go out. That was my thought. So why can't I? And so I jumped into the cab and I arrived at this place. I remember it was like a community center back home, and I was a bit surprised because it was very quiet. And I was thinking, don't parties usually have music going on? I'd never been to a party before, so this was something new. So I was thinking, there should be music. I've heard there's music. So I opened this door, went inside, and I saw these people sitting in a circle. And as they were sitting in a circle, they're like, Charles? I was like, yeah. And when I looked at the people, they looked a bit older than I would have thought. Some of them looked like they were in their 60s, some in their 30s. And next thing I hear someone saying, I think the group is complete now. So it's like, complete. I'm waiting for something. They're like, no, 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 come sit, sit, sit. So I sat down, and as I sat, they said, okay, we're going to begin the AA meeting. Now, for all those that are not aware, an AA is an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Now, bear in mind, I don't drink alcohol. And so the first thing I said was, excuse me, I think I'm lost here. I was meant to be going with, and they're like, no, 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 dude, wait. You're Charles, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we knew you were coming. I was like, yes, but I don't think I'm in here. I belong here. And the first thing they said was, he's in denial. I was like, no, no, no. They're like, if you're not, listen to our stories. So these people began to tell us a story about why they were alcoholics. Some of them, like I've said, they grew up in the church, and it just took having one sip because everyone else was doing it, what we now call peer pressure. And from that one sip, it gave them a confidence and excitement that we don't really talk about. And to the point where he needed an extra amount just to get to that same point until he had lost his job, he had lost his wife. That's when he realized he had a problem. And then as these people began to tell their stories, it wasn't that the Bible, when I read the Bible and he told me about alcohol, it wasn't at that moment that I realized that alcohol was wrong. It was the point where I was actually at that AA meeting that I realized that, you know what, this thing called alcohol can actually ruin your life. And so basically from that example, I realized that sometimes, especially with certain topics, we have to be hands-on with regards to our children. We shouldn't sugarcoat things. We have to be very, very careful in terms of what the message we're trying to put across. Now, before I talk about technology, because I'm going to go a bit more concrete into it, but I just want to give you a background, because we can't just talk about computers, because we're also going to be talking about tablets. So we're going to be talking about a lot of devices that all fall under the same branch and criteria. And so I just want us to look at how we arrive at that. And for me to do that, we first of all have to talk about technology in general, because like I've said, if you think about the latest phone, it was a process over years to become what it is today. And I have to give it context before we can go further, and then you can understand what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm not going to go around the bush. You cannot escape technology. Whether we move to the country or we cannot escape technology. It's a part of our everyday life. Not in a scary sense like being watched by Big Brother from, I don't know, those that read George Orwell's book, we had to study it at school, but in the sense that technology plays an essential role in your daily life. From the time you wake up to the moment you hit the bed at night, you will live beneath the umbrella of technology. From the lights in your house, the smartphone in your pocket, and the clothes on your back, you benefit from technology. Not only does technology play a significant role in your life, it also has an ubiquitous role in the presence of your church, your worship facility, the church management software you use, your church app. A lot of people have got Bible apps these days, and your ongoing giving platform are all testaments to the benefits of technology you enjoy. Since technology is akin to the air we breathe, basically, some people are hitting the proverbial pause button and asking, are there downsides to technology? Is the growing influence of social media, like we're talking about information and technology, which is IT, bad for the church? Some people are thinking, what are the benefits if, for example, if I'm going to be teaching my children of using technology? What I mean by technology, if you're going to be using a phone, a computer, that is technology. Regardless if you consider yourself a futuristic or envision life on the prairie, these are insightful questions you need to ask. To get the right answer to these questions, you have to study the Bible, verses about the technology, to get the lowdown from God. It's a good idea to hear what others have to say about the topic. But for me, first and foremost, knowing what God has to say about technology is the anchor that will help you navigate the use of it in your life and in the life of your children, church, etc. So to help you find your way, we're going to be talking about, first of all, what is technology? The limits of technology, examples of technology in the Bible, how the church uses technology, the source of technology, and then we're going to go further And then we're going to delve to the problem areas, because that's, I think, where the key aspect of what we want to learn, and how can we keep our children safe, especially if we're going to be using it on a daily basis. So with that in mind, like I said, if you've got any questions, just type them out, and then hopefully at the end, maybe I can ask Sister Angela to come in and read out the questions, then we'll try and answer them if that can help. But like I've said, so there will be a Q&A, but I need just to reiterate, it's important that I delve a little bit into technology for you all to get a better or insightful view of what it actually is. So what is technology, right? When it comes to talking about technology in the Bible, there are firm opinions for or against it. Often when talking about technology, it's easy to talk about someone. Oh, someone just said there's a bright light over the head of Charles. Oh gosh, I apologize. Where I am, I can see it. I will see if I can just sort it in a second. Unfortunately, like I've said, I've had to work in my work area because my daughter's in the house and she's just running about everywhere. So bear with me. I can see it. Let me see if I can. Okay, if it really bothers you, let me know. Then I'll see if I can stop and fix it, if that's okay. Right. So what I was saying, what is technology, right? Often when talking about technology, it's easy to talk past someone because you're not actually talking about the same thing, since there are so many nuances to the conversation. So to make sure we are starting off on an equal footing, let me first start off by defining technology, right? So this, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, technology is the invention of useful things to solve problems. So to this definition, I'd also add that technology can include the creation of things that make life easier. I know there's a broad definition of technology, and it can encompass many facets like communication technology, social media, computer software, and aerodynamics. To flesh these out, let's explore just a few examples, okay? So just bear with me. First, think about the words you're reading or what I'm saying right now. What platform are we using? We're using Zoom, right? Let's look at basics. Did you know that the alphabet is considered a form of communication technology? Think about it. There was a time when the English alphabet didn't exist. If English is your native language, speaking and reading it may feel as natural as the air you breathe, but it wasn't until, I think it's the 5th century, when the roots of written English, of the English language, began to take shape, right? So let's put it this way. Like every other written language, the English language was created to solve the problem of communication between a specific group of people, right? To save us both time and our sanity, I'm not even going to attempt to convey the many technological advances that needed to occur over hundreds of years to afford me the opportunity to speak like I am to you on Zoom. As for the additional examples, I can go on, but I think you're getting my point. Technology has evolved, but it's always existed in one form or another, right? Technology is simply the application of knowledge to create useful things to solve problems or make life easier. So for better or worse, this means it's nearly impossible for you to avoid the influence of technology. But don't worry, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, you can read about many examples of technology in the Bible. I'm going to give you a few examples. For starters, God chose to communicate with us in such a way that we could understand what he was saying. He didn't pursue us with a mystical form of communication that required a decoder to understand. God chose to reveal himself to us through the languages we developed, in particular, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, which are the 3 languages used to write the Bible. Not only is this the case, but from Genesis to Revelation, we observe many uses of technology in the Old and the New Testament. Here's just an example of few. Cain built a city. I think that's in Genesis 4:17. Right? I think Genesis 4:22. Cain made things out of bronze and iron. I think it's Genesis 4:22. Noah built an ark. Genesis 6. People built the Tower of Babel, if you remember the story, that's still in Genesis. King Solomon built a temple. Jesus used tools as a carpenter. Paul used letters to write. So God isn't a hardliner when it comes to using technology to further his purposes. In other words, he's isn't entirely for or against technology. But this doesn't mean that God is okay with however we use technology. He calls us to use technology for his glory and our good. That's 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31. Not for the destruction of his creation or people. Right. So with those examples out of the way, how are we using technology within our church? People use Bible apps. I don't know if I could have a show of hands. How many people have got Bible apps on their phones? Okay, I'm seeing quite a few people putting up their hands. So quite a lot of us. Some of us have got the hymnal as well. I can see people putting up their hands. So we use, some of us even, I like, for me on my phone, I've got Mrs. White's writings on my phone, and when I have time, I just sit down. You've got enough time to sit and think and realize that technology is in everything that we do, and it now depends on how we use it, because I think this is where we are going to delve a bit more into it, and it's very, very important that we delve into that aspect, because it becomes a bit of a problem if we only paint technology in one light without actually looking at the relevant aspects that it's coming to. Because not only does technology fall in phones, like I've said, transportation, cars, buses, then we talk about computer software, medical technology, medical advances. I heard you can make an artificial heart even. So there are good aspects of it, and then we're also going to look at what really we want to discuss, which is how it affects us in the form of technology, in the gadgets we use like phones, tablets, and computers. Right. Without going into further ado, I want to now ask all the parents, if they can, how many have access to computers? Because remember, we're looking at technology as a tool. It's something that we can use to help us in a certain way. How many of us have access to a computer? How many of us have access to a phone? How many have access to tablets? So if you really think about it, all of us have access to that. And then when you go further and you ask yourself, how many of our children have access to those same things? Now we're talking about phones, tablets, and etc. So how many of us can answer that question? And you're going to notice it's the same. Now, what you need to understand, like I said, with progression of technology, computers, I think from 1977, that's when they began to come into the home. And I remember the first computer my mom had was a little computer, I think a Windows 95. It took about 2 or 3 minutes to load or to come on, and you couldn't do much on it, but it was a computer. And so nowadays you have computers that switch on in seconds. And with speed and time, you're going to realize that as parents, we are sort of like still stuck in the older pattern, in the sense that how we grew up defines where we are in terms of technology. Like somebody mentioned, they had 4 channels when they were growing up. I'm jealous, because from those that are from my country, some of us had 1, and then as we grew up, we had 2. And out of those 2, I think kids time was only between 3 and 4, and that was it. So we never grew up with the luxury of television and computers. Like I've said, my passion for computers came from the fact that I had family that were already in the industry, and I sort of like just gleaned information along, which made me realize I had a passion for it. But with regards to that, you're going to notice that what you have learned now, most of your kids, without realizing it, already know either half as much as you have learned your entire lifetime, or they already know more than you. I'm seeing some smiles. Now, what you don't realize is that children are very, like when I was growing up, I could pick up languages like this. I speak 4 languages. But I realized as I was growing up, I didn't even know that it was amazing to know so many languages. I only realized it when I grew up, when people were now trying to learn some of the languages. Like, it's not that easy. So when you're younger, it's a lot easier for you to pick up information and you don't realize it. But our kids have got the potential of doing a lot more simply because they've learned it at an earlier age. Have you understood? I understand what I'm saying. And because they do, sometimes you don't realize it, but our kids already know more about how to use the gadgets that we have now simply because they started off at an earlier age. I'm going to give you an example. I've got a keyboard in front of me. Now, my keyboard right now has got certain shortcuts. And I know my son is listening because he's on this forum. My son already knows 3/4 of the shortcuts that I need to use on here in memory. So for example, I know if you press Control X, you can cut. Control C means you can copy. Control V means you can paste. There are a lot. Control Alt Shift. There is a lot of functions on here that my son is teaching me, and I'm supposed to be the computer expert. Are you understand what I'm saying? So he is 11. One of the things that I realize as parents we don't understand, the internet is like a jungle, literally like a jungle. It's a jungle in the sense that if you were smaller, would your parents let you go out at night? Because I don't know, some people probably grew up in the city. Some of us grew up like somewhere where you can call it jungle, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is that by the time you realize that the internet is a scary place, you need to be hands-on as a parent to understand the dangers before you let your child get onto any device. Simply because, like I've said, even if you look at tools, I'm sure even if we look at 200 years ago, the people that were making the first tools, you had to be very careful how you used. When I say tool, I'm talking about maybe the person that made the drill, the first drill, or as they developed, someone was there to hold their hand. But in this case, what we are doing is we've created a virtual jungle, which we're calling the internet, and we're letting our children go unattended because we think that they are safe in the confines of our home. So if you think about it, their mind is in the jungle. Their body physically is here, but they're not really there. Why I'm giving this example is because some of the things that our kids are learning, this is very important. Some of the things that the kids are learning. It reminds me of the story of Lot. Now, I want you guys to think on this. Lot, you know, like when he separated from his uncle, do you remember he was like, how far? What did he go straight into the city of Sodom? Does anyone remember where was he at the beginning?
He was on the outskirts.
I want to hear a shout out if anyone. Where was he? If you know the answer, just shout out. Where was he at the beginning?
The outskirts of the city on the hills.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear. Oh my! I think I know what's happened. Just bear with me 1 second. This is another thing. Right. My microphone is just no. My speakers were disconnected. My daughter ran away with the remote. Like I've said, I love my daughter, so I'm just going to try and see which one of these work. So you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So bear with me. Right. Okay, so 2 things I want to bring up, which are very important. If you think about the story of Lot, when the angels came to get him, where was he? Remember at the beginning, he was outside the city. But by the time they came to get him, where was he? In the city. Now, I don't know whether I should, if I should say it, but I think it's very important. I do anyway. And I'll see if I can try and be politically, no, don't worry, 1 second. and be politically correct, but the internet has got an issue of being able to desensitize us. What I mean by desensitize us is, if you think about it, a lot of the time, the things that we see, like violence, like murder, like the sexualizing of videos of children, all of that, our children have access to it. Whether we want to agree to that or not, we have to realize that our children have access to it. And because they do have access to it, there's a problem. How can we help ourselves? How can we help ourselves and be able to come to a place where we realize that we cannot leave our children without a filter, without anything to stop them from being able to access content which is not readily available? Sorry, just 1 second. I'm trying to load a video.
Hello? Hi.
Right. For the sake of time, because the video is quite long and I really want to get to the question and answers.
Okay.
The video is talking about what happened 4 years ago. 4 years ago, a young boy, he had an argument with a friend, and he used to play a game called Fortnite. And this boy used to have a habit. So in this game, you get a bat and you hit people over the head with them. You can get a gun, you can shoot people. It's just a game. So he got frustrated. So that in this game, you could get a bat, put barbed wire on it, and hit people with it. So this boy got frustrated with his friend because he had lost the game. So he went to his house and he hit him with the bat. And when the police came to his house and they surrounded him, they saw him doing a dance. Now the dance is called, I think, the floss dance, which is done on Fortnite. So the game, when you kill someone, you can do that same dance. And after he had committed that atrocity, he was just standing there, smiling and saying, look, I got him back. And so the police that were there were shocked. How can a child do that? But he had become so desensitized to the violence. Sometimes we don't understand the consequences of the games that the children play, of the things that they do. But honestly speaking, it's become so bad. It's gotten to a point where you won't realize it. But every moment that you expose your child to certain, without looking at what they're doing, if you are not aware of how much time your child is spending on the internet, if you're not aware of how much time your child spends on gadgets, on technology, you have a problem. Why do you have a problem? Because, like I've said, anything that is not, so sometimes we talk about temperance, we talk about control. If you do not have control over what your child is doing, especially if it's something that you don't have a clue towards, then there is a problem. Why is there a problem? We got a very, very, we've got a very, very, somebody mentioned that when they were young, they were exposed to something, to pornography, and look at the consequences that were brought from it. And it's the same thing. If we are not aware of what our children are doing right this minute, then you've got a problem. You've got a problem because at the end of the day, we have got a responsibility towards our children. We've got something called accountability. We are going to have to answer for what we did with our children. We are not accountable for anybody else, but you're going to be asked, where are your children? What happened to them? And so what this is telling me is that we have to take the sacredness of how we look after our children very seriously. There are few things that happen over the internet. We're talking about things like cyberbullying. Now, when I was growing up, I encountered bullies. I encountered people that were generally not very good, but we had structures in place to help us tackle bullying. You have to understand that the worst bullying you can come across is the one where you're not, as a parent, you don't even know your child is being bullied. You know, we talk about peer pressure. I'll be honest, 3/4 of the stuff that we did that we got ourselves in trouble, even if you think of it, parents, you know what peer pressure can do. But if you don't know who your child is chatting to, quite recently, again, I think this is in the past month, somebody has been convicted for having pretended that he was a child. Again, this game called Fortnite, he disguised himself as a child. You know, he superimposed this picture to look younger. And when he looked younger, do you know what he did? He went and challenged young people that he was playing. Like, look, I'll pay for you to play longer. He told them ways to bypass the security features enabled by their parents, to the point where he was not asking the children to take pictures of themselves dressed inappropriately. If this man had not been caught, because how he was caught was because one of the children refused to take off their clothes, and in the end, because he had borrowed the child money over the internet without the parents knowing, so he asked for his money back. And when he asked for his money back, the child had no choice but to tell the parent. So this tells you that there are some people out there who can take advantage of your lack of vigilance. They can take advantage of your lack of what? Of knowledge of what your children does, where they are, how they spend their time. And so why this is important, parents, is because there are parameters in place that you can put. There are ways in which you can look after your children to ensure that they are safe. What if you don't do that? You are actually allowing the same people, because remember, technology, we can't run away from technology. It's got benefits, and it's got, like I've said, the benefits, if we look at it, far outweigh the negatives. But to be honest, the negatives can have life-changing consequences. Why I'm saying life-changing consequences is because our children can be groomed over the internet, over social media, over Google. I'm talking about Google, you're wondering. On Google, there's something called Google Duo. Sorry, just wait me, Sister Angela, if your hand is raised. Let me see if I can put the speaker on again. Can you switch it on? It's on. All right, go on. Your mic is off.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Dr. Romeo was asking, what is cyberbullying? I don't know if that question's been answered, but I thought it might be helpful before we keep going on if they're not there. Dr. Romeo.
Oh, you want to know what cyberbullying is?
Yes.
Right. Did you say something? What I actually like to do is, in a forum like this, before I answer, parents, what do you understand by cyberbullying? I would like to see some hands up, please. If we can just I'll have 2 people give me an answer. What do you understand by cyberbullying? Anyone? You can turn on your mic.
I don't have a hand to lift, and I know the icon, but what I understand is anyone can abuse you or call you names, even if let's say they're John Smith, but actually they are Sharon Walker or something. They can create a fake account just to bully people, just like physical bullying, but verbally. Sometimes they're referred to as keyboard warriors because they can just type whatever they think about. Oh, without consequence. That wasn't me, by the way. Without consequence, and it might hurt someone. And words are, hurtful, as we all know.
Okay. Well, I'll have one more person. If you can, anyone else?
Was a mole?
Hello.
It's bullying on the internet.
Sometimes when young people post their picture, they can comment on their picture negatively, and that some people have actually gone to commit taking their lives because they did comment negatively about them. And if they have inferiority complex, that's it. And their disability as well. People who are disabled, have disability has been, something done wrong to them because people commented on that over the internet.
All right, thank you. Right, cyberbullying right? It's bullying that takes place over digital services. So it can be like cell phones, computers, tablets, even SMS messages, texts, apps. So anything on digital media, like for example, there could be someone telling your child, you look ugly, or worst cases, some even said, why don't you kill yourself? You look, and they've so any form of abusive behavior that is done through those forms of media, that is the term that defines cyberbullying. Has everyone understood the difference? So it's bullying that takes place over digital devices. That's basically what it is. Okay. Right. Okay. So where were we? We're talking about when you become desensitized to violence. When a child watches violent movies, when somebody watches certain things that, for example, there was a text I can't remember, I'm saying a text I've read somewhere, I'm trying to think where it was, where it stated that, you know, when a child is young, if you play rock music, loud music, at first their heartbeat increases, their, like, you know, it's the fetus, but they become, by the time they're born, they've become desensitized. So you can play as loud music as you want, but it will not affect them because they become desensitized to it. It's the same thing with when you let your child play a game that's rated 18 and they think that killing, it's not a coincidence, you know, that in America you're getting people going on rampages. Have you noticed? America has got a lot of people that have just suddenly picked up a gun, and they all fall under certain criteria and category. If you've noticed, they pick up a gun and then they mass killing people. If you notice, in games, you get points for that. The more people you kill, the more points you get. I do not think that there is a definite link with regards to how people are being killed. If you remember, there was a man that went and killed, I can't remember, in New Zealand. He had a mass killing. He killed so many Muslims, and this was an avid gamer. He loved playing games. So for him, this is the exact same thing he's doing with his gun in killing people in real life. It's what he's used to. So if we get our children used to certain things. Sorry, we got a hand raised again. Go on. Mohale.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh yes, all right. I have learned about how bad the games are, and at the moment we are for our TV channels at home. We only watch Hope TV, and I have been wondering because they are advertising some games, like I can't remember, but it's a Bible game. You install it and you play it. And I was telling my kids that no, that is a bad game, even if it's biblical, because it will drive you to this secular game. So that is not a game to play. So I was just worried as to how can we be so trying to make biblical games which will lead us to secular games.
Okay, this is actually, I had a topic about this at my church. I presented, I think it was one of the AY programs at Warsaw Church. I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to technology, whether it's Bible app, if you've got a Bible app, I'm going to tell you now, please use it, but have your Bible handy. Because what you need to understand is the word free nowadays. I'm putting, as you can see, I'm putting these on there. It doesn't exist so much. Sometimes when something comes for free, it comes with a price. You need to see what exactly is it installing when it comes with. So for example, I have had most of my business, because where I work is I provide IT support to various companies. That's basically what I do. If a company is setting up, they will give me the specs of where they want their computers. I go and I put them. Now, I'm going to tell you now, this is what I said that I actually had envisioned I would be doing. But the majority of the business that I've realized I'm getting now is because a lot of parents are coming to me with their computers, laptops, or desktops. I've had somebody even post me the monitor because they didn't realize that the monitor is not actually the computer, just so that I could have a look at it. Because what you need to realize, especially with games, what does it come installed with? Just like in all aspects, we need whatever our children are doing, we have to be on top of it. Because remember what I said, this is a jungle. You don't know where your child is going. Even the innocent games, the ABCD games, if you've noticed nowadays, by law, when you open a new website, they ask you to read terms and conditions. How often do you take time to read the terms and conditions? I've had somebody that's actually signed away the permission for a new app that they had put, but they didn't realize that this app was actually malicious, and it actually allowed them, it was giving permission for when they logged onto their bank on that same laptop, they were also providing details to that company of their login details. So by the time they realized that some of their money was going to, and not a lot of money was being withdrawn, the thieves were just taking 15 pounds, 20 pounds, but over a year, I want you to imagine how much money they lost. And simply because, like I've said, when you allow a child to use the same device you're using, and you don't realize when it's installing itself, what else does it come with? Does that make any sense? You need to actually maybe even do a Google search. If you're putting the Bible app, like you have said, and you think it's a bad, for whatever reason, please find out first of all which company installs the Bible app. Again, this is just for factual reason. There was a time where I realized that the Bible app that was being made was made by the same company that was making a satanic, what is it again? I can't remember. They were making a satanic game as well. And it's just the same thing. I'm not sure if you guys listen to your news. There's this man called Little Nas X. Like I said, he started off playing, the music he was playing was targeted at young people, and they used it for background. You know, like when you're playing a game, this song is playing in the back of your mind. And what people don't realize is, as the game is playing and that music is playing, it's already changing your mindset. And so by the time the kids heard this game on the video, they didn't really mind it because their minds had already been programmed to ignore it. The song was called Call Me by My Name. I'm not sure if you're all aware of it. This man has released, this company, a few months ago, they released a shoe called the Jesus shoe, right? And it sold out. And now they've released the counter shoe. It's called the Devil shoe. And now the Devil shoe, it's got everything. It's got human blood in it. It's got, I think they made 666 pairs apparently, and the shoe was going for over £1,000. And not just that, it had the devil's insignia, and in there it was giving a verse that was saying that the devil, look, is just a misunderstood person. He was just doing right by him, and God is the one that is actually who wronged the devil. So you would think people would be like, what is going on here? But the song had already been released. So by the time he released the shoe called the Devil shoe, apparently all the shoes were sold out in 1 minute. I hear me, people, 1 minute. So we're talking about technology. So in other words, people clicked buy, and all the pairs that they made of this shoe, of these 666 shoes, saying that the devil is not justified, had been sold out. My brothers and sisters, you need to be careful. What I'm trying to tell you right now is that one of the weaknesses we have is because of time, because of our fields of our children are not safe on their computers. You may not realize it. Just for them to do their homework. I had a conference which I think I will need to do soon, where I'm going to show you how you can keep your children. It's simple. It's free. Nowadays, most of the companies have got something called parental controls. Parental controls on the computers ensure that, look, you put the child, when the child signs in, you put in their age, whether it's a phone, you put in their age, and you also put what content you want them to access. So if you don't want them to be on social media, you can cancel it. If you only want them to be on the computer for 3 hours, because one of the most important things when it comes to information and technology is that children have to have a regulated time on the internet in order for them to be able to use it safely. This is actually research done. If you give your children unrestricted access, they do not get the benefit of it. Let them learn how to do research. One of the things I realized about homeschooling, which is, like I said, a blessing for me. My son, when I have a computer here, he's always watching me sitting. What are you doing? And something that takes me 5 minutes to look at the instructions to learn, I've realized is he just needs to see me do it. He doesn't need to read the instructions, and he now knows how to do it properly. He can pick up now a computer and disassemble it in a way that I can never do. And I've realized when it comes to technology, give your children parameters, how they can safely. Don't sugarcoat the dangers of the internet. Sometimes show them that there are pedophiles on the internet that are looking to groom young people. Because like I've said, in the news, it's coming out quite a lot of young people that are groomed by someone they met on Facebook, on different social media platforms. And these people start by reeling in the children by finding a common area of interest. Now, if you don't know who your children are talking to, who their friends are, how can you be sure that they're talking to who they think they're talking to? Because in all honesty, they may think they're talking to another 10-year-old, another 13-year-old, whilst in honesty, they may be talking to a predator. So this is why I have to reiterate that we cannot ignore this. I want to take a time to show you guys how to use parental controls. And that's what I'm going to share. But before I do that, I just wanted to give you just a clear view of where I'm going with this. The internet or any form of technology becomes dangerous when it's unregulated. And as parents, you have to make sure that you regulate what your child has access to, not only for their sake, but for your sake. Because, like I've said, I wish I could take time to actually share what I have. I've got lots of computers that have been brought to me because a child downloaded an app which was free, and he didn't realize that that app had adware. And even though the app even warned him, when you sign this, you are giving us permission to access your background activities. Do you accept? A child just wants to play the game. So he clicks accept, accept, accept. And next thing, this parent is wondering, how come inappropriate stuff is being broadcast on their page when they're doing a Google search? Or why has their Google browser been hijacked? So a lot of those things, I'm hoping with the time that we have, I'm going to just try and show you how you can make sure, one, your computer is safe, and two, you don't have any third-party people that are looking to see what you're doing on your computer. Like I've said, this, if we had to look at each and every device, like I've said, this would take very long. But what I'm just trying to do is to set a platform for you all to understand just how precarious the World Wide Web is. And if anything, understand the risk in how it can affect you. Nowadays, some people, when they hijack your computer, they don't just take your bank details. What they will do is they will steal your identity. So you don't even think, look, your bank detail, your bank records are in order. 10 years down the line, you're checking, and on county records, it's saying that the bailiffs were looking for you because you missed the payment in some remote village in Scotland that you bought. People may not realize this, but that is where we are at the moment. And so this is why I want to reiterate that with as much time as we have, let's try and keep a stern focus on what our children are doing. And not just that, as parents as well, I also want to advise you, I hope we can have time, check to see if your computer is safe. There's 3 things that I'm going to try and get you to do. First of all, like I've said, do you have some form of antivirus on your phone or on your computer? And for example, if you're using multiple platforms, are they linked in any way? For example, if you access it on one device, do you get a notification when you're on another device? How exactly do you ensure that there is no third party that can get involved. Is your browser safe? You know, sometimes when you go on Google and you type nearest SDA church towards me, and then the first three results are single websites or dating websites, then you know your browser has been hijacked. Because like I've said, your search results should always address what you're looking for. If you notice that quite regularly, your browser is telling you certain things, or your computer is telling you that it's found 500 viruses, and you're thinking, where have they come from? That could be adware. So there's different ways in which people are using now to be able to get access to your computer and then see your whereabouts. Some people have ended up even putting sellotape to cover so that no one can see them, their webcam, because they're afraid. So people are aware that someone can hack into their computer and get their webcam. But if they can, that means they can also get the audio so they can hear what you're saying. So all of these things, I'm hoping with the time we have, we'll be able to address them and at least come to a consensus on how we can safely use the internet and for example, and block websites that are inappropriate so that our children don't get exposed to inappropriate content at the wrong time. This is something very very important. I've just seen a question, adware. Yes. I'll explain to you, Sister Angela, what adware is when we get a chance. But like I've said, I want us to be able to do that. So if you've got time, do you all have access to the device that you want us to talk about? Because I'm going to ask how many people have got Apple, Macs. I think there's Chrome, and then there's also Windows. I know there's different platforms. So let's see if we can address them and then see where we come up with regards to that. Is that okay? If you've got questions, please type them on the side so that I can answer them as well. Right. Okay.
Do you want people to type in the chat which ones they have so we can have an idea?
Okay. Yeah, while we're doing that, so I'm just trying to see if I can get ready to share screen. So just bear with me. Right. Okay. So I'm not sure how I can do this, but by a show of hands, how many people have got Windows 7? How many people got Windows XP? Okay, I've got one hand raised, Windows 7. How many people have Windows? Okay, Windows 7. So 2 people got Windows 7. Right. Before we even go there, why do you have Windows 7? Could I have an answer? Oh, Windows Vista.
Actually.
No, I don't. Sorry, I don't want any Windows 10 right now. Windows Vista, Windows 7.
Actually, we have Windows 10.
Okay. Windows Vista. Now I'm going to be honest. If you've got Windows Vista right now, you shouldn't have it. If you've got Windows 7 right now, you shouldn't have it. I'm going to explain to you why. Someone says, when upgrading, I might lose files. Incorrect. The unfortunate, that's Mohali as well. No, you might, but the answer is that's not right. Why can't you? Can anyone tell me why you can't? Why you shouldn't be using Windows Vista and Windows 7? Anybody? Kiani, your hand is raised. This is my son, by the way, so I'm curious to see what he says.
The reason why is because it's not the updates for Windows 10 are better because with Windows Vista, Windows are no longer having security updates and so it's better for Windows 10 because it can alert you when there's something going on than with Windows 7 or Windows Vista.
Whoever your dad is, I'm sure is very proud, Kiani. That is correct. I've not told him that. He knows. Yes, what Kian is saying is absolutely right. You shouldn't have Windows 7 because it's outdated. They don't provide any updates for it. So in other words, if there's a hacker, most hackers now are having fun with Windows 7 because they know Microsoft won't protect you. And so what's happening is that if there is an update or a breach in the Windows 7 mainframe security, you do not have any safe options. If someone hacks into your computer, they've hacked into your computer. You can't get out of it. So this is very important for those that have outdated browsers and outdated operating systems. There is no longer any support. And because there's no longer any support, it means that we are reaching a point where it's not safe. I don't know if what I'm saying is okay. It's not safe. And because it's not safe, before that, I apologize. My son had asked me because he wanted specifically to talk about something that's very important for the young people in terms of games. Kiani, do you still have the presentation on games? This is very important. Sorry, I'm just getting the presentation on regard to how you can keep your computer safe. Kiani, can you do your presentation, please? Sorry, I'm just going to help him. Sanchez, anyway, I can just give him permission just to so that he can be in charge of so that he can do his presentation. Just be with me. I'm just going to be sit with him.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I need to screen share. Thank you. Let me share screen. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so today what I'm going to be talking about is the effects of games. Now, first we're going to be talking about viruses on your computer.
A little louder, Kiani.
Oh, sorry. So first we're going to be talking about viruses on your computer. So how downloading can affect your computer. Now, games bring viruses. A lot of games that say free may not actually be free. Installing games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Among Us, Roblox, Minecraft, Mario Kart, Rocket League, FIFA, WWE 2K20, and many more have a price tag, but sometimes they're only free because they have a virus that tags along with the game. Usually it will show and this, and Windows will make sure that you want to install it when you install it. And when you say no, it needs administrative permission or it won't install. It's true. It needs you to accept it. Except then the virus will be hard to remove if you accept it. So as you can see here, it says Fortnite installer. So it sometimes has a virus. Now, memory player is a virus, and also has the same thing as Fortnite installer. This is an article I found off the internet. Attention to all memory users. My virus total detected this from the installer of the critical ops page. So this is how many viruses you have. which is a lot. It's a lot of viruses. So this next one, Steam gateways. Steam has a lot of fun games like NBA 2K21 and Minecraft, but it's a gateway. Most of you don't know what a gateway is on a laptop. A gateway is like in real life. It opens and shuts. On a computer, it lets things in and out. Sometimes it could be viruses. This is what I also found on the internet.
So, Kiani.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking at the page, now parents, most of you don't even know what this stuff is. But if you remember, look, when it says remotely take over a third-party game server, in other words, it can take your computer through arbitrary code, right? It can remotely crash your computer. In other words, all these things can make your computer slower. Sometimes you wonder, have you ever wondered why your computer is getting, it gets slower and slower? Sometimes it could be because of malware, or your computer is getting very warm or hot. There are a lot of factors that you need to consider. Like if you hold your computer and you've started to wonder, why is it acting a specific way? All of this you need to check what exactly is on your computer. And if we have time today, I'm hoping we can go through that again for you to see, how do you check what's on your computer? How can you tell what's installed on your computer for you to understand just how dangerous these programs are? So Kiani, sorry, please carry on with your presentation. Thank you.
Brother Charles.
Yes.
Just to let you know, we finish at 8:30.
Okay. So
then we can move on to the parental controls and what we can actually do.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Kiani, thank you very much for that. So I'm going to share screen. Thank you very much, Kiani.
I wasn't done.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Okay, so parents, if you're on your computer, let's have a look at two things. You're looking at my screen right now, and you're gonna see my basic setup, right? Now, I don't like to have lots of clutter on my screen. I love to see what the programs are. Now, what we're going to first of all understand, how many people at the moment have, because now I know there's Windows 7, Windows Vista, so they most likely can do the same thing, Windows 7, Windows 10. Is there anyone with Mac and Google Chrome? If they are, could I have a show of hands, please?
Yeah. Yeah. In the Bible, no.
Sorry? Okay, so I'm just going to start with Windows, and then we'll see, because Mac is pretty much straightforward as well. If you just go to on the top and you look at About My Mac, and then if you look at applications, it will show you exactly what's on your computer. Windows is a bit more complicated, but I was trying to show you. So there's a folder on all your computers called Add or Remove Programs. So I'm just gonna, if I type Add, you're gonna see where it says Add or Remove Programs. Now this is on Windows 10, but on Windows 7, Vista, same thing. Add and remove should be there. And so this will tell you everything that's installed on your computer. Have you understood? So if you see anything that you're not sure of, I'm going to reiterate, anything that has to do with, for example, pay, or it's got something that has to do with cash on it, have a look at it. For example, let's say I see something called sticky notes. If I'm not sure what it is, you can just click on it and then look at which company makes it. So if you look here, I know that this is from Microsoft Corporation. So if I know it's from Microsoft Corporation, I know this is most likely a safe program. Now, there are other ways in which you can check. You can also do a Google search. So let's say, for example, I'm trying to see a program that doesn't have, let's say, Scan Manager. Now, Scan Manager does not have a manufacturer. So you can go copy this to find out which company makes Scan Manager. Why this is important is because you need to know everything that's installed on your computer. Because if you don't know, there could be a third-party program that has hijacked your computer already. Have we understood so far what I'm trying to say? It's very important you keep a close tab of what it is. If you realize you've got more than 5 programs that you're not aware of, like I've said, make sure you write those down, and then you can do a Google search on them, and then we can see, then you can see what exactly which company makes them. If, for example, I'm going to just give you one of the most common ones that I get, which is called, it's called Search It, I think. Let's search. So if you look at here, search.exe, if you've got it on your computer, can you see what it is already? So this basically tells you what you should do. If you have that on your computer, it should already be uninstalled. It's the same thing with regards to parental controls. Now, why I'm specifically trying to show you that you need to know what exactly you have on your computer. Half of the parents have never done this. They've got no idea what they have. And because they've got no idea, how do they keep their computer safe? Same thing with regards to how do we check to make sure our computer is safe? If you've got Windows 10 and Apple, like I've said, Apple as well, just a simple search on your browser, just type parental controls. Just say so say Windows parental controls, right? So parental controls should be on every PC. So should be on every single PC. Parental controls. So on here, it comes under family options. Can you see? So on family options, as soon as you click family options, it should tell you which people have can use the computer and what they are, and for you to set their ages. So for example, if you look here under family options, can everyone see family options? Here's what it tells you. How protect your kids online, choose which websites your kids can visit as they explore the web, set good screen time habits. This is very important. Please do not let your children have 24-hour access to the computer, because also then we'll be talking about things like addiction. We do not want to be talking about addiction as well. So that is another area we have to be careful. Let's keep track of the children's digital life. Every single thing that a child does, you should be able to get it in a list in browser history. That is available. And this is on all the devices that they use. This is one way in which we can keep our children safe. If you tend to notice that your child, like for example, I have noticed that my child loves technology, but we don't want him to be there too long. So some of the things that we've implemented, we've given him an old camera. And with that old camera, if I could tell you what he has learned to do with it, the pictures he's now taking, we're actually thinking of getting him another camera, a better one, simply because the pictures he is taught, he's learned how to take. He loves to take nature pictures. He's only 11. So we can actually use that talent that they have in this field to be something that they can make use in their later profession. But we have to be very careful how we do that, if you get what I'm saying. So once you get here, like I've said, you click where it says view family settings. It's straightforward. Then you can set up an account for how your children can work. But because of time, I can only show you what it does. Right? And if you want to get in touch with me, like I said, by all means, feel free to do that. So I don't know, sorry, is that a question? Are there any questions so far? Because we're running out of time.
There was a question from earlier, and it was in connection with this. Somebody was saying, what would you recommend as a safe browser? I don't know if you just answered that. What would you recommend as a safe browser?
I'll be honest with you. All browsers are safe. It's just, please be careful what I was telling you about. Remember that what I told you about, that search.exe. A lot of parents' browsers are already hacked. So as we're speaking right now, if we had time to look at all your browsers, I'm going to ask you, if you've got time, just quickly do a Google search. Type on any browser that you have, that you use. Type, so let's all have a look at this. So I'm going to go and I'll type because I'm from Warsaw. So I'm gonna type, oh gosh, I'm gonna type Warsaw. I'm gonna type my church. So I'm gonna go Warsaw SDA Church, right? So there you go. So look what happens. So the first 3 searches here are my church. You can see the picture. It tells you the address. I would like you all to do a quick search and tell me if your first 3 are the same as mine.
Let's give a thumbs up.
Just with a thumbs up because we're running out of time. So I'm going to stop here.
What's the word again?
Just type Warsaw space SDA Church. Would you like to see what my page looks like? And then tell me if you've got the exact same search.
For the picture house?
Can you share screen your
Yes, I'm going to share. I'm going to share it now. Did I just close the page? I think, did I close it? I think that was an error. Okay, I'll just do it again. Also, there you go. And yeah, so my first 3 searches are Warsaw Seventh-day Adventist Church and our Facebook page and the website. So those are the first 3. Does everyone have the exact same search?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting some yes. I've got 3 yeses so far.
Button 5 thumbs up.
Right, and some thumbs up as well. So did anyone not get the same search? Okay, I've got 1 so far. Okay, so that's a private message. I got 2.
Also, I didn't understand actually the church wall.
Right, so I got quite a, okay, so I've someone also private message. I got quite a few people that have said no. So the ones that have said no, could I ask Dr. Romeo, what did you get? So okay, I'll type for you so you can see what it is.
Yeah, can you share screen your computer again so we can have?
Yeah, I will. Sorry, because of time.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Were the first 3 churches I was supposed to come up? SDA Church, the website for it, and the Facebook group, and
yeah,
direct.
Yeah, I'll share screen again. Sorry, so you can have a look. Okay, I don't know. Can everyone see my screen?
No, we can't.
No.
Sorry, it's saying that someone else is sharing multiple. So
say yes.
Right. Okay, even if you can't, if your first one should say Facebook, should be the Facebook page. The first 2 should be the Facebook pages. So does it say anything about Facebook? So if it's Facebook, then just give me a yes. Yeah, we got the Facebook page. Thank you. So how many people did not get that?
Yeah, say yes.
Okay. Okay. No, yeah, no, these are private messages. Okay. Just so you understand, because I did get quite a few that didn't. You need to understand that is a sign that your browser is not safe. It has been hijacked. Basically, why what I need to reiterate that is because most of the time you don't even realize that our browser's hijacked is it goes through a third party. So when you do a search, it goes through someone else who then redirect your page somewhere else as well. So you have to be very careful to find out. That's what's called adware. Adware is when there is a website, there is a program that's manipulating the information you see. to suit their agenda. Have you ever noticed if you search flights, all of a sudden, single time you're getting pop-ups about flight times and about your country? Has everybody noticed that? Anybody noticed?
Yeah.
You do one search about money, and then you wonder how is it that they know about money or a loan, and next thing you're getting emails about loans. How do they know your email? So that's what's misdirection. So you need to be careful with regards to the information you share, because it's very important you understand that there are third parties involved. I had a case, so to speak, where I was trying to assist someone, and their service provider, I think from TalkTalk, was actually filtering the content that they receive. In other words, they were monitoring the content that they have so that they can only access what is appropriate, what they want them to see. So they had to phone TalkTalk to say, listen, you've been monitoring my Zoom. I can't access TeamViewer, simply because they had put parameters for their protection, which they said, look, we think it's not safe for you to go to these areas. So that's basically some of the things that you may not be aware, but is happening right now. For time's sake, I don't know if we got time for questions, because I know there are quite a lot of questions that people have. What questions? How can I answer your questions?
Somebody is asking they're on TalkTalk. They're saying, do they need to do that? So would that be if they try and type in certain things, if they get the TalkTalk sign up, then they would have to ask them? Yeah?
Yes. One of the things we discovered, if you type TeamViewer or type anydesk.com, those are like help websites. If you can access that and it's blocking you, contact your service provider and find out why you can't. Because like I've said, that already means that they've got parameters in place to slow you down. Why this is important, people, is because a lot of the time we don't have time to check when we are paying for a broadband. You know, some of us, we spend a hard-earned money on broadband. You get the notice that you're supposed to get up to 100 meg broadband. How many of you have actually ever checked to see how much you're getting? I can tell you, several years ago, our church had been on a contract for about 9 years, and we're supposed to be getting a service of, at the time when I got there, it was 75. Do you know what we're actually getting? We're actually getting 3 megabytes of broadband data. And we've been getting that for years. So if you don't check what you're getting or what's safe, I'll be honest, you're going to be lost. You're going to be very lost, especially with regards to who provides your service. Do something called speedtest.net. Check what internet you're having, what speed. Have they put any blockages or parameters to make you safe or insecure? Please check that, because for me, I don't like people that monitor my information, like my data. There's a time I think I typed a vaccine safe, you know, like on a Google search, I couldn't even access it. And you're thinking, okay, if they're blocking me from accessing that for my safe, do I really need that type of safety? I think that personally, we need to know what information they keep and for how long and for what purpose. So all of these things, like I've said, parents, be vigilant with regards to that. Know what you're paying for. Is it what you're paying for? And also, is the content on your computer the stuff you put on there, or did someone else install that software? Do you have software you're not very familiar with? Check, is your computer getting very hot all of a sudden or acting strangely? Those are signs that you can check for yourself to ensure that your computer runs smoothly. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask, like I've said, because I'm aware of time.
Brother Charles, there was a word that you mentioned, and you said there was something you could type in to check the speed. What was that again?
Right, it's called speednet.net. I'll type it. It's just a website to check your speed. Speedtest.net. If you type that, it will take you to a search engine where you can check your internet speed. If you're paying for 100 meg broadband, for 50 meg broadband, for 30 meg broadband, and you're getting one, you need to start asking yourself questions. Are you getting what you're paying for? That's the question.
Absolutely. This has been so informative. I think there's one more question, Brother Charles, and then we will finish for today. Okay. I think there's definitely a great interest. in appreciating all that has been done. There's just one more question that was mentioned earlier on, but I don't know again if this has been addressed. It says, what would happen if I shared my location with a stranger? I think that's a bit off. What would happen if I shared my location with a stranger? That was in the chat earlier.
Right. First and foremost, because it's not very easy to do that. How did you share your location? That's the first question I'll ask you. Did you give them your IP address? How do you know what information you shared? That's the question. Could they answer? Are they willing to answer that question? How do they know what information they shared?
I don't know, Aduko. I don't know if they're willing to ask. Was it the location or the IP number? Is it called the IP?
Yeah, because your IP address is sort of like your physical address where you are. So it's usually numbers like 192.168.0.1. That's how you can ping where someone is. Pinging is sort of like where it bounces back and forth to see exactly where you are. So that's why I'm trying to ask how do they know they shared that information unless they gave the IP address. That's right.
Okay, I'm not seeing them in the chat. Maybe you could just mention it was
Just
only.
Just 1 second.
Okay. Okay, I think it was just, please, yeah. Okay, I think it was just a case of maybe you're saying if you share your physical address and you say I live at this address, that wouldn't be wise with a stranger, I'm assuming anyway. But you're saying if it's only if you share the actual IP number, they know where you are. But I think maybe with all the things we've spoken about, it just wouldn't be advisable to share any personal information with a stranger, I would have thought.
All right. So okay, I hope I've answered that because I can't really answer it unless I know how they did that, if that makes any sense. And usually you've got a firewall on your router. Oh gosh, like I've said, for one session it would be impossible for me to try and go through this because we need to go into detail for me to show you how can you check your safe. We also have to talk about the router, but the router, that's like a different that's a whole different area. But for me, I think the person's question, what they're asking, I would say they're safe simply because their router should have a firewall to protect their computer. So I'm not sure how else, unless I get more information.
Okay, well, if that person, if you're able to type that in the chat, if you want some more information on that. Someone says, I have a Samsung Core Prime. It uses no SIM card. Is it safe?
No.
Okay, that was short and see the.
Yes. Again, whoever this person is, I will need to get into detail. And if I start speaking techie, I'm sorry, you're going to start thinking, you know, I know I'm wearing glasses, but basically, wherever you use a device which does not have a physical address, it will ping either to the router it's using. So it depends on what they use it for. So I can't answer that whether it's unsafe or safe simply because of the fact that it depends what they're using it for. So please provide more information, then I can try and see if I can answer that, Mary.
Okay, I think we have spoken about maybe having a follow-up. That's something that if you can bear that in mind. Somebody said, this really does have to be the last one for today. Can you briefly talk about cookies? Just briefly, that's a question.
Right. Now, again, this is where we're talking about adware. Cookies is just like, imagine you got a jar, right? So like where all your favorite bits, you put them in there. We're talking, those are the cookies, right? So that's where you're keeping them. As long as you're keeping them safe, where no one else can reach them, then they're safe. But if your browser has been hijacked, like I said, you've got adware, then anybody's got access to that. So cookies can have your, you know, like nowadays for safety, all our passwords are saved on our browser. So when we get onto a computer, we don't have to type it down. We can just say enter and it's already saved. It automatically appears. It's saved under that same criteria, if that makes any sense. So I would say if you are pretty comfortable, your computer is safe, then please feel so. I know a lot of people are buying antiviruses. We will need to come back and sit because some of you are wasting your good money. I'll tell you now, some people are paying £14 a month at the end of the year. Maybe that's 100 and odd pounds. You can save that money because simply using the inbuilt one on the current OS is the same thing as the antivirus. The only difference, like I've said, is what are you using the computer for? Because most of the time I'm noticing people are buying that when how do viruses work? What I'm trying to tell you now, the most important part I want you to take from this. If you or your child, for example, are downloading games, it doesn't matter if you've got an antivirus and you're paying £50 a month or you've bought a lifetime key, it won't help because it's the same as this. A virus is supposed to, it's like a mask. It's supposed to prevent it from you getting it onto your face from the world, right? But when a child goes and clicks download, accept on the computer, it's like you're getting the virus in a needle and you're injecting it into your bloodstream. So it doesn't matter what protection you have on the outside because you are actually actively inputting the software itself directly onto your PC. So it won't help. So this is where we need to be careful in terms of what we are purchasing for what protection, if that makes any sense. The only thing I can tell you is that the best method for safety is to make sure we know what our children are using our computers for, and to be able to put the parameters that if they're 12 years old, they can only access content for 12-year-olds. This is the part, or if they're 11 or if they're 15, and we put the right time frames for them to use them. I hope I've answered that question.
I think so. I think so. Thank you so much for the child. That's been so informative. And I think that, as you said, there's so much more to cover, isn't there? So we have had an amazing time, really blessed. You've been so thorough. So I really want to thank you on behalf of the SDA Home Education Association for this monthly forum. We will have to have you back, Brother Charles. Will that be okay?
You are welcome. So with better lighting, like I've said, I have to apologize. My daughter was in the house today, so I had to run away and it's getting dark, but I will definitely do that. And by all means, because I've got a lot of private questions. Sister Mary, if you like, you can send me a WhatsApp message and I will, because I've got a lot of private messages, I'll be able to answer that. Or by all means, Sister Angela, you can share my number because I've got a lot of people that are wondering if their computer is getting very hot. What do I do? All of those, they can always get in touch with me and I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. Are you okay if we put it in the chat, Brother Charles?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. All right then. Thank you so much. You've had good questions. Sorry, Sister Mary. You said about the last one, but I didn't know what that was. So yes, we will put Brother Charles's number in the chat. And thank you all for your questions, really relevant, and for what you've shared, Brother Charles. Just a wealth of information, and we just couldn't get it all done today. So we are looking forward to having you back again.
Okay.
And thank you so much again, and God bless you.
Okay.
I think we're going to have our closing prayer now with Brother Joseph, who will be closing with prayer.
Okay, Brother Charles, thank you again so much. There's a lot to cover in a very short space of time. We appreciate that, but we thank you for what you've been able to cover. We hopefully, like Sister Angela said, we'd like to have you back for part 2, just to get into some of the nitty-gritty of some of the things. But I believe your contact details have been put in the chat now, so people can get in touch directly. Okay. It is a very important topic, in order to keep our children and ourselves safe as well. If you haven't had the chance just to give us some feedback on this presentation and just for future stuff, there is a poll that is still running. If you just answer that for us very quickly. So we're just going to say a word of prayer to close this evening's forum. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for Charles, for Trevor, for the information that they've shared with us this evening. Most of us who are doing homeschooling have access to computers to be able to research, to find information, to even join classes online and various other things, Lord. And these things themselves are not bad, but like Brother Charles has said, is how we use them and how diligent we are in terms of setting up the controls. So Lord, I pray that even as you prompted us, even though we didn't get all the details that we need, there is still something that we can go away with this evening, and we can check how to add, remove programs, check what is on our systems, and And Lord, we pray that you make an opportunity for us to be able to meet again, to be able to delve a little bit more detail of how we can protect ourselves. Thank you for Brother Charles, and thank you for all who have joined this evening. We pray that we may take something away with us. Be with us as we as we seek to bring our children up in the ways that you have instructed us, that they will be ready and fit to meet you when you come. Not just them, but us as parents also. Like Brother Charles said, that when you ask us about the children, we will be able to say, here they are. These are the gifts that you've entrusted into our hands. And so we thank you. May we have a blessed evening as we separate. We thank you so much, and we ask these in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much. My brother was watching from Nigeria. God bless you, brothers and sisters.
Bless you, brother.
so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for joining. It's been very interesting, very informative, and yeah, look out for part 2. We'll send out the information. We'll be in touch, Brother Charles, to check your availability. I think probably sooner rather than later, because like I said, this is very important. I've taken out some notes, and I kept pushing you to do the demo with private messages, but I realized the information that you had is also relevant to be able to put some context into what you wanted to talk about. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Look out for emails and WhatsApp messages.
Thank you.
Session.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, Dale.
All right. All right. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been so interesting, and I thank God for the insight He has given and the sharing today. God bless you. Mabel, I heard your voice. God bless you too. God bless you, Charles, and everyone. I'm so grateful to God for this. Thank you.
Amen.
You're welcome. Amen, brother.
Amen, brother.
Okay, I'm going to end the meeting. Have a good evening, everyone. And
Thank you very much. It was very good.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
God bless you.